My name's Jackson Gariety, and my company's called Pneumatic, and I launched it with Brian Hendrickson, who's another developer here in Portland. We launched out of Startup Weekend last spring. We saw this untapped market in hashtags, basically, where there's a lot of social media users around the planet. There's a lot of people with content, but it's all focused in on Twitter and Facebook and these specific networks. But the hashtag is a global protocol that can be used anywhere, and we found people were using them on sites outside of Facebook and Twitter. So what we've been creating is a social page that can aggregate all of this different hashtag use from all over onto one place, and then we can sell these pages as sort of promotions for brands and events across the world. Well, I'm learning to work with people, in a business environment, and so as far as hurdles go, it's working with my partner, for an ongoing period of time in an office, overcoming conflicts day to day, and on top of that, moving from being heads down coders into the sales world, into the business world, where we really don't have experience. When you do a startup, you always have to fill shoes that you didn't have before. Unless you have this unlimited supply of money, a fantasy, you're gonna have to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. And our comfort zone bubble has been against going out and making sales. Hey, will you buy this? Is this interesting to you? Making those phone calls. So hurdles, working together, and moving out of the development space into the business world. Those have been our hurdles. What has tripped us up? Not quite knowing who our competition was, or if we even had competition, are we in a brand new space? Are we completely unique? And I don't think any startup really is. I used to think that we were doing something that was really off the map. We don't have any competitors. What are you talking about? This is brand new. But it's not true. You always have competitors no matter what you're doing. Always. Every single time. You think you don't have competitors, you're not looking at your idea in the right perspective. You're not looking at people and humans and what kind of things do they buy. Because humans, every day they make decisions about what they focus their attention on, and you're always competing for people's attention. So yes, our company has competitors, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out. And figuring out who those competitors are, how to work with them, and that business isn't really war, it's actually collaboration, has been difficult for me. But I think I'm on the right track now. I think the local community has definitely been very helpful. Startup Weekend, great. I've got a lot of networking opportunity out of that. I met a lot of people, gained a lot of Twitter followers, added people to my address book, and then as my partner and I continued building the product, we could go back and look at all the business cards that you acquire, these stacks of business cards, and say, this person can help us, and people in Portland are so willing to help, there's nobody that's oh, I don't want to talk to you. Everybody's yeah, sure, I'll give you feedback. And there's something else that comes with that too, is that experts don't always know what's going on. Just because they're experts doesn't mean they're always right. And it's learning that even though we have this great resource of the local community to talk to, don't listen to what everybody tells you. Sometimes people say things that are wrong. Sometimes you have to be bold and step outside of what the experts say is right. But definitely talking to people in the local community has been very helpful. Always getting feedback. I love feedback on my product. It's good criticism, constructive criticism is hard to come by. And I think in Portland specifically, we have a great community of people willing to do that. Oh, lots of abysses in every direction. But it's really this abyss of making the leap from coding to development. That's the big abyss. Because it's massive. It's I live in this world where I'm in IDEs and text editors, and how can I build this so that we can scale the product without having to buy tons of server resources right off the bat? How can we get 1 million users using this thing at once without migrating to a different server farm? How do you do that? Those problems are what I've been thinking about for years, but these new problems of how can I sell something to somebody without them being get out of here, what are you talking about? Really getting in touch with everybody and working with people, it's a massive abyss. It's making that leap from what you're used to into a new area, because unless you, like I said before, unless you have limited money, you're going to have to do that at some point. I like the uniqueness of the startup world. I like how offbeat it is from like this monotony of you do high school and then you go to college and then you get married and then you settle down. You know, like that's what everybody does. I like entrepreneurship because you get to march to the beat of your own drum. You get to pick your own path. So when I'm faced with troubles, you know, like why am I doing this? I could just be at high school. You know, I could fit in with what everybody else is doing. I could do that, but it's really this idea of marching to the beat of your own drum. That's what drives the world forward. It's the people that go off and do something new, who don't just fit in. That's what inspires me, because I want to do something new. I want to do something differently than what people have done before. That's why I keep going. That's why I do startups instead of doing high school constantly. I love people who join philosophy with business and who join philosophy with development and design, because I think philosophy plays into everything. So Dustin Curtis, you know, Paul Graham's essays in the community on Hacker News, I think it's fantastic. They inspire me with everything they create. Because on Hacker News you can see like, oh, there's a new version of Ruby out, or here's a poem, you know, from like years ago that some underground poet wrote, and it relates to startups and life and how you should approach your business and having a good philosophy about your business. I love people that join those two worlds, philosophy and business, because I think it relates to everything. So anybody who can do that, they inspire me to keep going. Whenever I'm feeling like, God, this doesn't make any sense, why am I even doing this? I should be off, you know, just like doing my homework. Then I think about Paul Graham's essays. Like, no, there's something valuable. When you have an idea, you have to explore it, because business isn't really about like just making tons of money. It's about exploring ways to work with people and communicate with people. That's what business is really about. So anytime I think that I'm on the wrong track or I'm wasting my time, I always think there's something to be gained everywhere. And it's literature. It's Paul Graham's essays, Dustin Curtis's blog. You know, it's Eric Schwartz. Those people inspire me.